welcome to another session of Informally Formal. We have today with us Zara Mahbub. She is the country director and CEO of Kazi IT. Before that, she held many senior management positions at BRAC Bank. And I must also mention that she's got an MBA degree from UC Berkeley, one of the finest schools in the world. And I do not know how she juggles it. She is a daughter, a wife, a mother of three, and a top corporate leader in Bangladesh. So our today's topic is aptly women in leadership, myths and reality. So a very warm welcome to you, Zara. So good to have you.
Thank you so much. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Thank you.
And to be representing women as well.
Absolutely. The pleasure is all mine. So let's get started, Zara, because we have such limited time in any of these sessions that we try to keep it short and crisp. So tell me, Zara, what does it take for a woman to get to a leadership role?
Extreme hard work and the right attitude. And of course, the support from family members.
Sometimes wouldn't you say a little bit more than men, because women have to maybe prove something because, you know, the world looks at them as perhaps in a motherhood role that they are not perhaps, you know, so maybe a little harder even?
Yes, not because of the motherhood role. It's about them still getting used to us being in the workplace. It's or in the roles that we are in. So we do have to put in that extra effort, indeed. However, I've been very blessed because in Bangladesh, I worked at a BRAC organization. It was BRAC Bank. And that is, of course, BRAC works for women. And BRAC has worked tirelessly from the late 60s up to today for equality and to, reduce the equality gaps, gender gaps, to bring about the rights for women. So being at BRAC Bank, I never felt that I was not suitable for something or I was not able to do something because of my gender. So I've been blessed very much being in that organization. And also now that I'm at Kazi IT, I'm also blessed here because over here, nobody views me as somebody not adequate just because of my role, or sorry, just because of my gender. They look at me in my task. They look at me as I'm playing my role, not as, it's not gender-based. I'm very blessed.
Right, right. Zara, when you've reached the pinnacle, when you're the managing director or the CEO, that is different. But as women are moving up the ladder, and of course, like you say, you were blessed to be in an organization that is very women-friendly. But in general, I'm talking about when women are moving up the ladder, sometimes it's a little bit more difficult for them than it is for men.
Yes, it is. Because of the preconceived ideas of men that they harbor against women colleagues, or they have formed stereotypes regarding women in the workplace. That is why women have it harder. At an interview, if you see a woman, a fresh graduate who's come in for a role, and you see a man, a lot of times they usually go with the man, given everything else is equal. The reason they do that is they think that, you know what, this man is going to get married and he's going to work fine. But what if she gets married and is not allowed to work? See, the factor of being allowed to work comes in when it's a woman. But nowadays, things are changing. I'm seeing a lot of girls join Kazi IT, particularly at the night shift, and they come in, they work. Of course, not right now because we're still working from home, but we've had girls come in and work the night shift and go back home at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the mornings. So it's super encouraging. It's just fantastic. Things are changing.
Very good, very good. You know, Zara, as you may know that I run an environmental engineering company. So one of the first engineers that we hired, and of course, we had a slate of candidates, men and women, both. So the best candidate for the job happens to be a woman. Believe it or not, even my board said to me that this is an engineering role and they have to go to factories and stuff. How would you hire a woman? And then if she gets married, moves away and stuff like that, if she gets pregnant, has a child, then what? But guess what? I hired that woman. And
Kudos to you.
she ended up being one of the top performing engineers that my company has ever hired. So she's now a consulting engineer in Australia. She has since moved on, but stayed with us for 5 years. So in any event, yeah, people look at it, you know, so they talk a good game, but then when it comes to actually doing it, they bring in all these biases that, you know, so that's
See, it's hundreds and thousands of years of systemic DNA installation, right? This is how we've all been trained to think. Can she do it? Or why should I give it to her where there's a guy who can do it? But you know what? In the academic world, if you see, the top 5 students in a class or the top 3 students in the class end up being women. The girls come out with high GPAs, and then we have doubt whether or not this girl will perform well at the work environment. How sad is that? Yeah. So it's about time that we started training ourselves and started telling ourselves that, you know what, we need to consciously pick a woman if she qualifies.
Absolutely.
It's not about giving favors. It's not about being biased or being or hiring somebody who's not good enough. No, they are good enough. It's not do the favor to them. You're hiring them because they're qualified.
Right, exactly. So now let me ask you, Zara, what do you think, in your opinion, is a difference in leadership in the 2 genders?
I think this is something that nature has given us. I think our EQ factor is slightly higher, the emotional quotient factor, and we tend to pause. We tend to be a little less hot-headed. We tend to be. I'm not saying I am that way, because my team members can tell you very clearly that I have a temper at work as well, which is not something I'm proud of. I could be less emotional. But then the emotion factor works well when we're assessing people, when we're trying to listen to them. Because listening is a very important part of working. We forget to listen to our team members. We start giving top-down orders. So I think women are naturally built to listen. And that actually solves problems, helps us move forward and progress in general.
Zara, I'm sure you're aware of many studies that have been conducted now with the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere of the brain, and how women get to use both hemispheres a lot better than men. These are studies that have proven it. It's not just me saying it. So men just don't seem to want to accept it, but women's brain works better. Just that's how it is. And studies have proven it.
It's also maybe because we've been trained for it. It's all training. I wouldn't think, while I did say in the previous question that yes, we are emotionally a little blessed a little more. We're more emotionally balanced. But you know, it's also training. I've done more multitasking than probably my brother has. And it's not because it's been consciously done. It's just how it has been for hundreds of years. We learn to balance things better. We learn to take care of a lot of things better. And being the oldest child in the family and having multiple responsibilities, and even now as a daughter, as a wife, as a colleague, as a mother, as a friend, as a partner, we tend to balance a lot more. So that multitasking skill comes really handy at work.
Right. It's just built in. It's something that is built in. Let me now then ask you, Zara, what's the number one thing that people tend to mistakenly think when they see a woman in leadership role?
They think that the woman is a woman and will be very motherly and very, very, what should I say, will turn a blind eye towards certain things. We don't.
So you're saying basically they think that they're not gonna be tough enough.
Yes, they think we can't be tough.
You can't be tough enough.
They forget we are the mothers.
And then tell me, from your experience, now you're at the absolutely the pole position where you're at. It's a totally different perspective when you're at the pole position. You can be in other roles and what have you, and you can be in leadership roles, but then being at the pole position is something totally different. So now that you're at the pole position, tell me, how do you see your role and how do you suppose others see your role?
I see my role very regularly. I don't see it as being a very strong leadership role as far as, oh my God, I'm the CEO and I do however, I mean, the company rolls the way I want it to. I'm very new to this industry. I'm very new to the outsourcing business. So I have team members who have tons of more experience than I do, right? So I am the kind of manager who has always listened to people. So I believe totally in teamwork. And that is sometimes my weakness, because sometimes I have to go in there and make an arbitrary decision. And I'm like, you know what? This is how it's going to be. And they're stunned. Why did you say that? I said, no, because I know this is going to work. So that in that sort of environment or situation, my experience comes in. But as far as leading a BPO organization, I think teamwork is the way to go, because it's all people driven. So I cannot be sitting up in my perch and saying, yes, this is how it's going to be, because I'm not there doing the work. I'm not out there in the field. So they're the ones who are doing it. So there's a lot of listening that I have to do, and a lot of working with people that I have to do.
Right, right. Even though our country is led by a woman leader in our Honorable Prime Minister, but then again, understand that, and then we of course have our garment industry that has empowered millions of women in Bangladesh, right? But the general population still is, we have a long ways to go. We have a lot of work to do to empower women, to see them at elevated positions and stuff. And as I'm sure you know, Citigroup, female leadership there, Pepsi, Indra, female leadership there, and now Goldman Sachs is grooming someone maybe to take on the pole position. But in any event, even in a place like America, where you've lived for about a decade, I know, Zara, there is tremendous amount of gender inequality, pay inequality. So it's not about us just saying about Bangladesh that, but nevertheless, we are off to a good start, but we have a long ways to go. Wouldn't you agree?
The whole world has leaps to go. We have miles to go before we sleep, as they say.
Absolutely.
So in Bangladesh, I think we're still better off because they are willing to give women a chance. And it's more about, it's more about getting the work done. And we do see women get the work done. So I'm hoping that, by example, if you see in the technology side, there are so many women out there, entrepreneurs, leaders like Sonia Bashir Kabir, there's Rubaba Dolla. Then there are women in the BGMEA, for example, Ms. Rubana Haq. There's Farzana Chaudhry, the financial side. So there are so many women leading the way as corporate leaders. It's just testament to the fact that we are less gender biased than the rest, I would say. And we do give women a chance. We do work hard, and we try to show the world what we're capable of. And I think once that is done, once a project comes out successfully from a woman manager's team, once an example is set, people start to take a step back and say, you know what, it has nothing to do with gender. It's work, end of the day. It is always work. But when we walk in with a project proposal, or when we walk in with something that we want to do, there is that 15-second lag that before they sync up, that, she's a woman. And once we start talking, boom, it's all a level playing field again.
Zara, let me very quickly then ask you, what are some of the myth busters regarding women in leadership? Tell me.
Yes, we have to work, even though we wear very nice lipstick. We have to work very hard. That's one of the myths, that, we look pretty, we don't, we can dress how we like, and we can get away with a smile. I wish this was preschool, and this was school, that we could get away with a smile. But no, we didn't get away with a smile at school. We never did. And we don't get away with a smile at work even. Even at work. So we really need to work our buns off in order to get to where you are. And the myth is that women, I think we talked about it earlier, women are not strong enough or not hard enough. Try us.
So you think those are the two big myths? that
Very big ones.
with women, they think that they got it easy, or they don't have to work hard?
No, they think we use our gender and the beauty that comes along with the gender in order to get work done. And I'm being very candid here because we've heard this. We've heard many a times that a woman has used her charms to get a project or has used her charms to win a debate. I don't think that works. And for those of us who've been working for years on end, we know how hard it takes, what it takes, and how hard we have to work in order to get to that level playing field. So when we hear these things about ourselves, it's really a bad taste to the mouth.
Right. Okay. So Zara, help her, give us some experiences from your this last 10 years in leadership role in Bangladesh. First with, of course, with BRAC Bank, you've held quite a few leadership roles there, and now with Kazi IT. So please give us, and also in everything, what I would like this session for young aspiring women that watch this, for them to take comfort in knowing that, you know what, if you work hard, put your head down and go to work day in and day out. And of course, there are sacrifices to be made. You can't have it all in life. So we want to talk about that too. But give us some of your experiences, Zara.
Sure. So the first and foremost, I think I shared with you earlier also at a different session, was that we have to let go of the guilt. And also we have to let go of the fact that we are not Durga in real life. We don't have 10 hands. We will not be able to be the best at everything. The super mom concept, for example, this is a concept that I'm not very keen on supporting, because you know what? If I work 12 hours a day, I will not be able to be a super mom. So I have to make that choice. And it's okay if my daughter's hair clips don't match her hairbands and her socks don't match her dress. So I will have to start letting those go. In order to win the war, you have to let go of a few battles here and there. We need to start letting go of our egos. We need to focus on what you just said, putting your head down and just grinding my teeth and working. That experience, I think, brings us to the playing field at home and at work. Because when they see me work hard, nobody at home is going to expect me to go into the kitchen at 11 o'clock at night when I come home. They will try to work it out. So it's team effort. I have to sell it to my team members at home just the way I have to sell it to my team members at work.
In most cases, what we find, and I'm telling you this, and you lived for a decade in America, and I lived there for 27 years. So I know it all too well. Even in America, when it comes to making choices between two spouses, career choices, generally the wife is the one that follows the husband. As if the husband's career is always within quotation mark, almost always as if it's more important than a woman's.
It's about understanding and accepting what we're doing for each other, not sacrifice. So, excuse me, many a times spouses say that I've sacrificed this for you, I've sacrificed that for you. We actually can't go forward if we talk about sacrificing and keeping each other restrained. It's about accepting what the other person needs to do and wants to do and is put on the planet to do. So I really implore all partners out there to look at their partners and to understand what their purpose in life is and why they've been put on the planet, and to push each other to do that successfully. And you don't have to go to dawats all the time. You don't have to throw lavish dinners, and you don't have to be social butterflies. Just support each other and bring out the potential in each other. That's what's important.
Zara, let me bring something. We're almost at the tail end over here. So very quickly, like I always say, people talk a good game, but when it comes to actually doing it for themselves, then they say, then it's a whole different ball game. For example, in America, parents at dinner table. Parents at dinner table talk about race. Race is a bad thing and what have you, till their daughter starts dating an African American. Now all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose. You see, so the world has a lot of work to do. So even from this work standpoint, here is something else we see. And again, I tell you this, I've seen for years everywhere, even in what we think is the most gender equal place, you know, lots of opportunities for women in America. But everything goes well. Let's say, for example, both spouses are working. Everything goes well till the husband has a higher position. The moment the wife starts moving up the ladder and she has a higher role, oh my God. Now, this is not just South Asia I'm talking about, okay? I'm not talking about Bangladesh. Happens all over. Men simply can't take it.
It's because us mothers have done a sorry job of bringing up our boys. We've done a sorry job of raising men with less egos. We need to demolish the word ego from people's vocabularies and brains. This is where the problem starts. Our egos are what don't allow us to move forward and to accept the other person. So what? You didn't have a problem when she was getting a higher GPA in class. Why are you having a problem when she gets a higher salary than you? This hypocrisy needs to end. And if I talk about being blind about race and being a progressive person and being accepting of all, then I can't play the same cards, the hypocritical card with my children. This is something, unfortunately, I did see in the expat community in the West. But in Bangladesh, it's slightly easier. But then, you know, our children will be moving forward and going abroad to study. And when they come back with a foreign partner, we have to walk the talk. That's Absolutely. What we got to do.
Absolutely. Zara, the takeaway here for young, aspiring women professionals all over, of course, first is it needs to start from the very root at home, right? So yes. In closing, very quickly, under a couple of minutes, what else would you like to say to young, aspiring women professionals, especially in Bangladesh and of course all over? Go ahead, Zara.
The first and foremost is you need a success and support group that will help you do whatever you do. And it is not just for women. Men need it too. Men, through generations, have been very lucky that the support group has been built into their lives. For right. us, we need to build those support groups in. Right. So have a success group and a support group. Have the right attitude, figure out what your priorities are, work on those priorities, and just keep working till your last breath on each and everything that matters to you. That's it.
Fantastic, fantastic. Zara, what a pleasure it was talking to you today. And I hope our audience, especially the female audience, but no, not really. Men also, they need to watch this. And there is just so much takeaway from this session. So once again, Zara, what a pleasure. Thank you so much. God bless you. And to our audience, I would like to thank you. Join us again for our next session. Stay safe. Bye-bye.